Live from New Delhi, you're watching DD India Newshour, India's voice to the world. I'm Mark Lynn. Coming up in the next hour, Prime Minister Narendra Modi begins a maiden visit to Ethiopia. Warm welcome in Addis Ababa marks a new chapter in India-Africa ties. India and Israel deepen strategic ties. The EAM Jaishankar and his counterpart Gideon Saar, they discuss the Gaza peace plan and security cooperation. Europe sets up a body for Ukraine reparations amid push to end the war. India marks the 54th Vijay Diwas. The nation honors the 1971 war heroes. Leaders pay tributes to the brave hearts. Prime Minister Narendra Modi arrived in Addis Ababa on Tuesday for his maiden state visit to Ethiopia, marking a milestone in India-Africa ties. He was warmly received at the Bole International Airport by the Ethiopian Prime Minister Dr. Abiy Ahmed Ali, the Foreign Minister Dr. Gideon Diwas, the Cabinet Affairs Minister Teshe Paulus, and the Women and Social Affairs Minister Dr. Ergoi Tesfaye. And we are moving shots, we are getting you visuals now of agreements and MOUs that have been signed between India and Ethiopia in the presence of the two principals, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. We'll get you details about what these MOUs are in a short while from now. There were expected agreements in trade and investment, in agriculture and food security, education and capacity building, technology and digital cooperation, healthcare and pharmaceuticals, renewable energy and infrastructure, defense and security dialogue. I mean, this is what the media was speculating that these agreements would be upon. We shall get you the details about what these agreements are likely, what these agreements are in a short while from now. But coming back to the rest of our stories and the program, now the Prime Minister with the Prime Minister of Ethiopia also visited a science museum in Addis Ababa. And this museum is it's built on a large area of land, about 7 hectares of land, and it hosts 2 major building complexes and several interactive exhibits that displayed local solutions in healthcare, finance, cybersecurity, geographic information systems, service industry, data analytics, manufacturing and robotics, among others. The Prime Minister had visited this museum a little earlier. In fact, this is the Science Museum he had visited earlier. Now the Prime Minister is currently in the National Palace Museum, again being taken around by Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. And Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed personally, giving Prime Minister Narendra Modi a tour of the museum, explaining to him about the exhibits there their historical significance, their relationship also. There is a significant relationship also with India, as we saw from some of those photographs that were visible. The presidents of India were visible in some of those photographs. Clearly deepening the bonds between the two countries, and Ethiopia, apart from the ceremonial reception, going out of its way to engage with India at the highest level. You can see Dr. Rajendra Prasad and Dr. Radhakrishnan's photographs there. Indeed, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was also welcomed at the hotel in a traditional way. Indian classical dance, performances and soulful Indian music marked the occasion, creating a vibrant and cultural atmosphere. The warm reception beautifully reflected India's rich heritage. It also added grace and charm to the moment. Prime Minister Narendra Modi was accorded a ceremonial reception at the National Palace Museum as well in Addis Ababa, and the Ethiopian Prime Minister received Prime Minister Modi at the venue. Prime Minister Modi also inspected a guard of honor. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed Ali along with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Well, India and Ethiopia share a deep bond that stands as a testimony of friendship for generations to come. So in 1951, in fact, the Indian community gifted Addis Ababa its first ever maternity hospital. And the Gandhi Memorial Hospital, it treats thousands of patients every year. Our correspondent Deepika met with the member of the Indian community and who is the CEO of the hospital. Let's take a look.
India and Ethiopia share a deep bond of friendship. And not only this, when we talk about the diplomatic ties, the bond is really strong. We are right now at a maternal hospital here in Addis Ababa, which is the first ever hospital to the maternity patients. And this, interestingly, has been constructed by the Indian community here. We have the member of the Indian community as well as the chief executive officer of this hospital. This hospital has been interestingly named in the name of Mahatma Gandhi as well. So tell us the reason why this initiative was taken by the Indian community to build a hospital in Ethiopia and give it to the Ethiopian government.
It happened sometimes in 1951 when the first high-level delegation opened in a kind of a chancery in Ethiopia, and it was called High Commission, and it was under the patronage of Sardar San Singh. And he thought that the Indian community, who was very large at that time, should do something. And the idea came, and he gathered in 1951 the Indian community and proposed the idea, which was accepted by the community, and it was proposed to the His Imperial Majesty the Emperor Haile Selassie I. The Emperor kindly consented to give us the land which you can see around, and the community in just 3 months raised more than the required amount, which at that time was almost 230,000 birr. Calculated at today's things, we talk of billions.
So started in the year 1955 and currently we are standing in the year 2025. It is still standing strong and serving to many of the patients here in Ethiopia. Tell us about the beneficiaries and what are the benefits that you are still giving from this hospital to thousands of Ethiopians.
This hospital is the first public maternity hospital. It has been here for the past 73 years and it has been serving the great amount of the public. So the benefit is to the greater community. It has been serving the community, and we have a monthly delivery of around 900 and yearly delivery of 10,000. So one of the largest amount of deliveries in the country. And this hospital being the only public hospital which is maternity dedicated.
How do you see the arrival of Prime Minister Narendra Modi and what are the benefits that you are expecting for the Ethiopian community from here onwards?
The Indian community did a great thing 73 years back for the Ethiopian people. And the relationship is still strong and it has been growing from time to time. So the arrival of His Excellency, the Prime Minister of India, will add a great deal to what have been done previously. So as Gandhi Memorial Hospital and as Ethiopian citizen, we expect much more.
When we talk about the global health diplomacy, when we talk about the cultural ties and other aspects, India and Ethiopia is standing the test of time and especially deepening the existing bond that is currently flourishing at a multifold level at the current point of time when we talk about it. With camera person Lalit, this is Deepika reporting from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia for DD India.
Well, for more than a century, Indian teachers and professors have formed the backbone of Ethiopia's education system. An Indian international school in Ethiopia's capital carries forward that legacy. It is the only one in Ethiopia that is affiliated to the CBSE, which is India's Board of Education. And in fact, as Deepika reports from Addis Ababa, the more than 2,000 students there, they are not only gaining knowledge, but they are learning about Indian culture and language.
Well, we are right now in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, and there you heard the Ethiopian students singing that Hindi rhyme so beautifully. This is the beauty, the culture, the education system that is currently strengthening between India and Ethiopia, especially when we talk about the education system that has a historic bond when we talk about India and Ethiopia. We have with us right now the principal of the school along with the founding member of the school. This particular school is the only school not only in Addis Ababa but in Ethiopia that is affiliated to the CBSE. Now let's talk to the principal. Many congratulations to you for, making this system, education system so vibrant and, strengthening further the India and Ethiopia cultural ties. When did you start with this particular school here in Addis Ababa?
It was in 2006. Specifically, I should say August 23, 2006. So it was about 20 years ago the school started. So we were about 9 shareholders and majority were Indians. And with a noble, so since we felt that we should have something good for the society of, for the people of Ethiopia, we took this as a noble profession and we started this one.
You're coming from India and establishing this education system here in Ethiopia. How challenging was it?
We started this one, and most of the parents really supported us to have a good and very smooth education in our school as well as in other schools also. They are very supportive, especially our parents and the parents as a whole in Addis Ababa.
Ma'am, we've heard that even the Prime Minister was once a student of an Indian professor. What is it that influences the most about the Indian education system and puts an influence on the Ethiopian culture and the education system altogether?
The system of India, teaching India, and also most of the children and family wants the Indian system. So the education is very good. And we like to have and to continue with that. And we have good teachers, Indian teachers, and they can cooperate easily with Ethiopians. So we are happy and we are proud to have the Indian system.
What has been the reaction? What has been the, behavior and the outcome that the Ethiopian parents are witnessing through this entire education system, especially having an affiliation of CBSE?
Yes, they need it, and they were asking for that, and we are struggling to bring to Ethiopia, and the embassy, also the ambassador was assisting us. So we are happy to have this, and we will continue. We have up to grade 12 now, up to from KG to high school. And we have good students, good teachers.
All right, so there you heard from the founding members of the Indian International School that how important it is for the Ethiopian students to have that knowledge of the Indian education system, and having the affiliation of CBSE was not an easy task, but because of the embassy, because of the government of India, they made it possible here in Addis Ababa. With camera person Lalit Upadhyay, this is Deepika reporting for DD India from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
Well, still to come here on DD India Newshour. Thailand says Cambodia must announce ceasefire first to stop fighting. The US unemployment rate rises, a warning sign for the economy. The Viksit Bharat Gramin Employment Bill 2025 is introduced in the Lok Sabha amid opposition protests.
This week on Defense Dynamics, as Bangladesh eyes the Eurofighter, we decode the strategic message it sends across South Asia. Also, with the US clearing an F-16 package for Pakistan, we will tell you what it means for India and how the region should read this signaling. We'll also tell you why China's much-hyped J-35A stealth fighter is running into reality, aggressively marketed yet with no buyers. And in my take, we decode China's WZX and GJX UAV push to dominate the pre-war battle space and why it is not a challenge for India. Stay tuned this Wednesday at 8 PM IST only on DD India.
For sustainability to become more than just a statement, it needs to be practical and seamless.
Well, we are standing by now and we're going to get some visuals coming in there from Addis Ababa. This is the delegation-level conversation. Let's begin.
In traditions, these ties continue to shape a deep friendship, collaboration, and mutual respect between our people. We also appreciate your consistent message that Africa's priorities must lead the partnership. These kinds of dignified, respectful message for Africa is very important, Mr. Prime Minister. Keep pushing. That is the type of message we're expecting from all our trusted friends. This aligns fully with Ethiopia's development path, an African-owned, African-led, and African-defined. Mr. Prime Minister, today we meet with a clear focus to shape a modern partnership grounded in sovereignty, self-reliance, and practical cooperation. Our cooperation is rooted in equality and South-South solidarity. We see strong alignment between our homegrown philosophy. Both countries emphasize national capacity, inclusive development, and partnership that respects independence. Mr. Prime Minister, our economy, Ethiopian economy, is performing strongly. Last year, we grew 9.2%, and this year we're expecting 10.3% GDP growth. Besides GDP growth, our FDI inflow is also rising big time, and India is a leading source for our FDI. We have more than 615 Indian companies which is investing in Ethiopia. This all gives our cooperation a strong foundation of trust. I think our decision today that we elevate our historic relationship to strategic relationship is the right decision. Mr. Prime Minister, it's a great joy to have you here in Ethiopia. Thank you very much for visiting us. I hope in the next session we're going to discuss some specific issues. Thank you, Mr. Prime Minister.
Excellency, my brother, my friend, इथियोपिया की यात्रा करके सच में मुझे बहुत खुशी हो रही है। ये इथियोपिया का मेरा पहला दौरा है, लेकिन यहाँ कदम रखते ही मुझे अपनेपन और गहरी आत्मीयता का उसका बहुत गहरा अनुभव हुआ है। भारत और इथियोपिया के बीच हजारों वर्षों से निरंतर संपर्क, संवाद और आदान प्रदान होता रहा है। अनेक भाषाओं और समृद्ध परंपराओं से संपन्न हमारे दोनों देश विविधता में एकता का प्रतीक है। दोनों देश शांति और मानव कल्याण के प्रति प्रतिबद्ध लोकतांत्रिक शक्तियां हैं। हम ग्लोबल साउथ के सहयात्री भी हैं और साझेदार भी हैं। अंतर्राष्ट्रीय मंचों पर भी हम कंधे से कंधा मिलाकर खड़े रहे हैं। अफ्रीकन यूनियन का मुख्यालय इथियोपिया में होना इथियोपिया को अफ्रीकी डिप्लोमेसी का मीटिंग पॉइंट बनाता है। एक समावेशी विश्व, इंक्लूसिव वर्ल्ड के साझा विजन से प्रेरित होकर भारत ने 2023 में यह सुनिश्चित किया कि अफ्रीकी यूनियन G20 का सदस्य बने। इन्हीं सभी पहलुओं को ध्यान में रखते हुए आज हम भारत इथियोपिया संबंधों को स्ट्रेटेजिक पार्टनरशिप पर उस स्तर पर ले जा रहे हैं। यह कदम हमारे संबंधों को नई ऊर्जा, नई गति और नई गहराई प्रदान करेगा। भविष्य की अपार संभावनाओं को साकार करने के लिए एक स्पष्ट रोडमैप तैयार होगा। आज हमें हमारे सहयोग के प्रमुख आयामों जैसे इकोनॉमी, इनोवेशन, टेक्नोलॉजी, डिफेंस, हेल्थ, कैपेसिटी बिल्डिंग और मल्टीलेटरल कोऑपरेशन पर विचार विमर्श करने का मौका मिला। मुझे खुशी है कि आज हमने भारत में इथियोपिया के लिए स्टूडेंट स्कॉलरशिप को डबल करने का निर्णय लिया है। एक्सेलेंसी, पहलगाम आतंकी हमले पर आपकी संवेदनाओं और आतंकवाद के विरुद्ध हमारी लड़ाई में आपके समर्थन के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत आभार। और आतंकवाद के खिलाफ हमारी लड़ाई में मित्र देशों का साथ होना ये बहुत ही मायने रखता है। एक बार फिर मैं आपका, मेरा और मेरे डेलीगेशन का इतना भव्य स्वागत करने के लिए हृदय से बहुत बहुत आभार व्यक्त करता हूं।
So we were listening to the two principals there speaking at the beginning of the delegation-level talks. Just to recap a little bit for you, in fact, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed began and he spoke about how he appreciated so much what the Prime Minister brought as a message, which is the Africa-led development, Africa-owned and Africa-defined message. He said the Prime Minister's message was dignified, and he talked about how the country looks at equality, South-South cooperation, national capacity building, and independence. He also spoke about the speed of their economy, how it's growing at 9.2% growth last year, and the GDP is expected to grow at 10.3% this year. A lot of FDI is coming into his country, and most of it is coming big time, he said, from India, and 615 companies of India are working in Ethiopia. Of course, both countries have now decided to raise this relationship to a strategic partnership. Prime Minister Narendra Modi highlighting how important this visit is, the first visit that he has made, and how he felt that as soon as he landed there, he felt welcome and at home in this country. Both countries reflect unity and diversity, is what the Prime Minister said. They stand for democracy. They cooperate in the global south. They cooperate in various other international forums, standing together. And also, he did mention about the African Union and how basically Addis Ababa plays a significant role in the African Union for meeting of all African countries, and how the AU, it was under India's leadership of the G20 in 2023, became a member of the G20. Also, the fact that this relationship has now been raised to a strategic partnership will add new energy and vigor. And he mentioned that the two principals and the delegations have talked at length about, a clear roadmap. And there is, for the future of this relationship, covering areas of economy, also of technology, defense, health, various other sectors. And India has taken a decision to increase the student scholarships to from Addis Ababa, from Ethiopia, doubled. And of course, Prime Minister concluded by talking about how what an important message it was that countries stood by India after the Pahalgam terror attack, and of course Ethiopia was one of those countries. Let's come back to this a little later, but first let's move on in the bulletin. The External Affairs Minister of India, Dr. S. Jaishankar, is in Israel for a two-day visit. The EAM Jaishankar, on Tuesday, he met his Israeli counterpart Gideon Saar in Jerusalem, following which both leaders addressed the press. They discussed bilateral ties, regional developments, and key diplomatic and security issues. Dr. Jaishankar said that India and Israel share a strong and close relationship, and that both countries believe in a zero-tolerance policy against terrorism, while continuing to strengthen the partnership for the future between the two countries.
India and Israel are concerned, we are both countries who have a policy of zero tolerance towards terrorism. We appreciate your consistent support to our fight against terrorism in all its forms and manifestations. Today, Minister, we will, as you noted, be discussing our strategic partnership, which has really developed very significantly in the last decade. It has a G2G dimension, a B2B dimension, one between P2P, between peoples as well. And I would say it's really, there are a very large number of domains today that our relationship touches in one form or the other. But what we will do, building on the work plan which our teams have finalized, is really to address ourselves to the task of purposing our relationship for the world that awaits us.
Well, still to come here on DD India News Hour, we're going to be discussing various dimensions of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's historic maiden visit to Ethiopia with an expert later in the program.
For sustainability to become more than just a statement, it needs to be practical and seamlessly fit into our lives.
If we are thinking about a net zero economy. And obviously, automobile sector is at the center of this transformation. Instead of buying new vehicle, if I can retrofit and upgrade my existing vehicle, environmentally speaking, it is superior.
Zero waste means repair, reuse, analyze.
We realized that if women became involved in decision making and generated income, the whole family would benefit. Before, we needed a lot of manpower to handle the waste. But now, with the conveyor belt,
It converts the waste into electricity, powering 2 farms.
You're watching DD India News Hour. I'm Mark Lynn, and joining us is Ambassador Gurjeet Singh, former senior diplomat, and also Ruchita Berry, senior fellow at the Vivekananda International Foundation. Thank you, both of you, for being with us. Ambassador Gurjeet Singh, so we've heard the Prime Minister in his opening remarks at the delegation-level talks. Clearly, this relationship has now been raised to a strategic partnership. Put that into context for us in the context of India's engagement with the region, especially in the Horn of Africa region, as well as the whole of Africa.
Thank you. Ethiopia is the major country in the Horn of Africa, with a population of over 130 million and a very fast rate of growth, with a very young population. It has played quite a stabilizing role in Somalia, even though later it has been involved in civil war. But we all look up to Ethiopia to play that strategic role of providing stability and standing up against terrorism. In this, India and Ethiopia are one, and that is what gives us a good basis for a strategic partnership. India has also had a very strong defense relationship with Ethiopia. In 1956, we opened the first training academy for the Imperial Army in Harar. And around 2009, we had sent a military training team. And even now, with the signing of the defense agreement and the holding of defense committee talks, I think the position is right for greater capacity building, exchanges, and possibly export of defense material to Ethiopia, giving it a very positive spin on why we consider it a strategic partner.
Ms. Berry, we know that Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is a Nobel Peace Prize winner in 2019 for bringing peace between Ethiopia and Eritrea. But of course, the region is still full of conflict. And we know when Prime Minister went to Jordan also, he spoke of Jordan being, a voice of moderation in that region, which is also full of conflict. Do you see, Ethiopia playing a similar kind of role to bring about some sort of peace in this region, which is, it has Sudan as well, which is at war with having a massive civil war?
Yeah, good evening. I think it's very important to note that Somalia and President Abiy Ahmed in particular, when he became the president, he played a seminal role in terms of resolving the conflict with Eritrea. And that's the reason why he got the Nobel Prize, that he ended decades-long conflict with Eritrea. And subsequently, he has been trying to influence or call for conflict resolution in the neighboring countries, in Sudan in particular. Whether he'll be successful or not remains to be seen, because there are multiple actors there. There's not just one actor in Sudan. There's several external actors involved. So until all of them are ready to negotiate, uh, uh, then he may be successful. But I think what he has done for the country is remarkable. Otherwise, the economic reforms that he's launched, the fact that Ethiopia is one of the fastest growing economies, not just in Africa but in the world as such. The economic growth rate is about 8% at the moment, according to the World Bank, which shows that economically it is a stable country. It is a very important. It has been in past an important economic and developmental partner for India. There have been a number of Indian companies which are present in Ethiopia, which shows that that it has become an important economic partner for India, and therefore it is important for us to keep on engaging with it. And I agree with you when you say that that terrorism is a concern for Ethiopia, because they are a neighbor to Somalia, which has been facing the terror from Al-Shabaab, and India has been facing that from across our border from our neighbor on the west, Pakistan. So, see, Pahalgam incident brought again the whole incident of terrorism in our country. So we are really happy to note that Ethiopia and India we converge on the issue of fighting terror. And this is something that will bring us together in greater security cooperation, not just in between each other, but also focus for influencing that in the larger African region.
Right. Ambassador Gurjeet Singh, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed had spoken about the speed with which the Ethiopian economy is growing. He said it grew at 9.2% and is expected to grow at 10.3% this year. And he said that the highest number of FDI is coming in from India, and 615 companies of Indian origin are working in Ethiopia. So clearly India is behind a lot of the economic miracle, let's say, that's taking place in Ethiopia. To what extent, is this only likely to increase moving forward? And the Prime Minister talked about, building a clear roadmap with, of course, economy being the first point he mentioned on the list.
Yes, what you say is right. So between 2005 and 2009, India provided about $700 million of concessional lines of credit, which helped Ethiopia in its development. That became a catalyst for a new wave of Indian investment, which touched $4 billion. On a recent visit to Ethiopia, the finance minister reminded me of that success and said they need even more investment now. And I told them that if they provide the right ambience for investors, they will happily come. So if the amount of investment that they say they are getting means that there is growing confidence in the Ethiopian economy by Indian investors who continue to come. These are mainly small and medium enterprises, and I think we should facilitate them by an updated double taxation avoidance agreement and a bilateral trade and investment agreement. On the Ethiopian side, they need to provide consistency of policy and better access to foreign exchange. This will make a huge difference to them as they work towards implementing the IMF guidelines currently.
Indeed. Ms. Berry, if we look at, this potential roadmap, and now that the partnership is a strategic partnership, what component would you think is going to be related to defense cooperation? Considering, of course, you did mention in your previous answer that both our countries are not really, in neighborhoods that are entirely friendly.
Apart from that, in past we had focused on training and capacity building. That will continue. But cybersecurity is in growing, it is becoming a very important concern globally. And Ethiopia also feels that cybersecurity is an important issue. So that could be one of the other areas of cooperation with Ethiopia. We can also think of space cooperation, because India has been suggesting that to most of its partners in the global south. And Ethiopia has also been interested in becoming becoming a space power. So, or utilizing space for the benefit of its economic benefits, So I think that there could be a possibility of collaboration in space.
Indeed. And also, Ambassador Gurjeet Singh, in terms of education, of course, the student scholarships have doubled. The Prime Minister has made that announcement. But overall, when we look at the potential for deeper cooperation between Africa, we also ran a story about how, the Indian school is more sought after in Addis Ababa because of the high level of education that is being given by the Indian boards. So in this context, not only at the school level, I mean at the higher education level as well, deeper cooperation can exist. What do you think is the roadmap for that?
The Indian teacher's role from the 1940s to the 1960s is remembered by all Ethiopians. Subsequently, a lot of Indian professors came. Now their numbers have come down. Ethiopia was the first country to implement the Pan-African e-network project and used that master's program to build up a cohort of people who then went and opened departments in new universities. Ethiopia is among the best development cooperation partners for education, technical training, and undertaking projects for India. Therefore, in any strategic partnership, education and development cooperation will continue to play a big role. Ethiopia often funds its own students to come to India, and they have the largest number of PhD students in India currently.
We'll leave it there for the moment. Thank you very much, Ambassador Gurjeet Singh, former senior diplomat, and Ruchita Berry, senior fellow at the Vivekananda International Foundation. Thank you for putting the Prime Minister's visit to Ethiopia into context for us as it continues to go on and progress. Now let's move on to our next story. The US jobless rate has risen further in November, hovering at its highest level, in fact, in 4 years, while hiring slowed in official data released on Tuesday. This underscores a labor market cool down in the world's biggest economy. Unemployment, in fact, climbed to 4.6% last month, while the economy added 64,000 jobs. This is what the Labor Department report had said. It is delayed by a recent government shutdown. Now, European leaders and Ukraine, they have launched a new international claims commission to pursue reparations from Russia as debates intensify over frozen assets and diplomacy gathers momentum towards ending the war. This comes amid the ongoing turbulence in the diplomatic circles of Europe. Rupak Kumar Jha has the details.
Ukraine and its European allies have agreed to set up an international body to decide on reparations for the damage caused the ongoing conflict with Russia. Leaders, including President Volodymyr Zelensky, formally launched the International Claims Commission for Ukraine, aimed at assessing tens of billions of euros in compensation claims. The commission, signed by 35 countries and coordinated by the Council of Europe, will evaluate claims already submitted through a register of damages. Dutch Prime Minister Dick Schoof said the body sends a clear message that justice must follow peace.
We have launched the International Claims Commission for Ukraine, which will deal with compensation for damage inflicted during the war. Every day in Ukraine, Russia is deliberately bombarding homes, destroying businesses, and damaging infrastructure. And there must be no impunity.
The next and most complex step will be the creation of a compensation fund expected within 12 to 18 months. European leaders are now debating how to finance reparations, with discussions intensifying over the use of nearly 200 billion euros in frozen Russian assets. This proposal is strongly backed by several EU states but opposed by Belgium over legal concerns. Speaking at a joint press conference with Dutch Prime Minister Dick Schoof, President Zelensky said access to frozen Russian assets was critical for Ukraine's financial survival.
It is definitely not easy for Ukraine. We do have financial challenges. You see how we work. Not everyone is happy about the format of frozen assets use. Today, frozen assets could balance out some degree in support from some countries. It would be serious support. I do not see an opportunity to stand strong without this support.
On the other hand, 8 EU leaders met in Helsinki and called for an immediate strengthening of Europe's eastern flank, signaling that accountability, security guarantees, and reparations will all remain central to Ukraine's post-war future. EU Commission President Ursula von der Leyen welcomed the outcome of the talks, calling them real and concrete progress towards peace. However, she added that any decision regarding the territories has to be Ukraine's call.
So we will continue working closely with President Zelensky and President Trump to achieve what we all want: a just and lasting peace that preserves Ukraine's sovereignty and strengthens its security. We will respect the decisions Ukraine makes for itself. Decisions on territories are for Ukraine to take, and Ukraine alone.
These developments come in the wake of US President Donald Trump's statement that momentum toward ending the Russia-Ukraine conflict had reached its strongest point after intensive diplomatic talks in Berlin. Amidst the turbulence in the European diplomatic circles, a path to a comprehensive solution is yet to be found. Rupak Kumar Jha's report for DD India.
Australia is searching for answers after one of its deadliest mass shootings, with authorities now saying the attack was driven by Islamic State ideology. A father and son opened fire on crowds gathered at Sydney's Bondi Beach during Hanukkah celebrations, killing 15 people. Investigators are probing the suspect's background, overseas travel as well, and whether the attack could have been prevented. Diptanshu Kashyap has the report.
Australia is reeling from the aftermath of one of the country's deadliest mass shootings. A father and son opened fire on crowds gathered at Sydney's Bondi Beach on Sunday evening during celebrations for the Jewish festival of Hanukkah. 15 people were killed and dozens injured as the attackers fired on the beachfront and a nearby park before police intervened. Prime Minister Anthony Albanese said the attack was motivated by Islamic State ideology. Authorities identified the suspects as Sajid Akram and his 24-year-old son Naveed.
It would appear that there is evidence that this was inspired by a terrorist organisation, by ISIS. Now, some of the evidence which is being procured, including the presence of Islamic State flags in the vehicle that has been seized, are a part of that. Radical perversion of Islam is absolutely a problem. It is something that has been identified globally as a problem as well. ISIS is created by an evil ideology that has been called out not just by the Australian government but globally as well.
Investigators say the pair had recently travelled to the Philippines, spending most of November there, with immigration records showing their final destination as Davao on the southern island of Mindanao, a region with a long history of Islamist insurgency. Australian authorities are examining whether the two met extremist elements during the trip. Police later located a car registered to Naveed Akram near Bondi Beach, where they recovered improvised explosive devices and 2 homemade ISIS flags.
We continue to work through the motive of this tragedy, and we'll continue to do so. I think it's really important that our investigators continue to be given time to do that. This is a very complex investigation, and important that we do it thoroughly.
The attack has prompted questions over whether authorities could have acted earlier to prevent the shooting. Albanese confirmed Naveed Akram had come to the attention of Australia's intelligence agency in 2019 but was not considered an imminent threat at the time. Sajid Akram was legally in possession of 6 firearms. Naveed remains in a coma under police guard as investigations continue and vigils and memorials are held near Bondi Beach for the victims. Diptanshu Kashyap's report for DD India.
Well, the latest as far as the Goa fire investigation is concerned, and the Luthra brothers, the owners of the Goa club where that fire took place and killed 25 people, have been brought to India. They were brought to India on Tuesday. The aircraft carrying them had landed in New Delhi in the afternoon, and a team of the Goa police was also present at the airport. They were arrested on their arrival. A medical examination of the brothers was done at the Indira Gandhi Hospital in Dwarka in New Delhi after taking custody of the deported Luthra brothers in New Delhi, and on obtaining a transit remand, the Goa police is bringing both the accused to Goa. The police team is expected to reach Goa in the morning tomorrow. Hundreds of UML cadre members turned up with enthusiasm to cast their votes on Tuesday as the CPN-UML holds internal elections under the 11th National Congress in Kathmandu. A total of 2,263 candidates are in the fray, with voting being conducted through 70 electronic voting machines. According to the party's Central Election Commission, we'll move on to shots that are coming in from Addis Ababa. Prime Minister Narendra Modi again with the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed. This is a private conversation that they are having. Prime Minister in a one-on-one meeting with Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed of Ethiopia. We know that the two leaders had also had delegation-level talks earlier in the day, and they had also signed several agreements. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and his Ethiopian counterpart held a tete-a-tete on the one-on-one talk format. The leaders held discussions on regional and global issues. So these discussions would also take forward the discussions that they had earlier in the day. They have spoken about economy, about innovation, technology, defense, healthcare, student scholarships, education, the economy in general, because the current story of Ethiopian growth is quite phenomenal. It's growing at 10.3% GDP, the country, and it is benefiting a great deal from Indian investments that are coming into Ethiopia. 615 Indian companies are currently employing lots of people in Ethiopia, and the two countries have now raised their relationship to a strategic partnership. Earlier, Prime Minister Modi had sent out a clear message that he supports for the African Union, because the African Union looks to India in a very positive way. An Africa-led development, Africa-owned and Africa-defined process of development. Now, India marks 54 years of Vijay Diwas, a day that symbolizes courage, sacrifice, and a history of a historic military triumph. This is December 16, 1971 we are talking about, when India secured a decisive victory in the war against Pakistan, leading to the surrender of 93,000 troops and the birth of Bangladesh. As the nation pays tribute to its brave soldiers and visionary leadership, we remember a victory that reshaped South Asia and reaffirmed India's strength. Rahul Upadhyay has the report.
India celebrates 54 years of Vijay Diwas. The nation bows in reverence to the indomitable spirit of its soldiers. President Draupadi Murmu, Vice President C.P. Radhakrishnan, Prime Minister Narendra Modi and other senior ministers paid heartfelt tributes to the brave hearts whose courage and sacrifice scripted India's historic victory in the 1971 war with Pakistan. Every year on this day, Vijay Diwas honors the bravery, sacrifice and strategic brilliance of the Indian Armed Forces. alongside the valiant Mukti Bahini of Bangladesh. This day commemorates the decisive victory in 1971, India-Pakistan War, when Pakistan's Eastern Command, led by General Niazi, surrendered unconditionally along with 93,000 troops. In just 13 days, India dismantled Pakistan's aggression, leading to the liberation of East Pakistan and the birth of a new nation, Bangladesh. The Indo-Pakistan War of 1971 began with Pakistan's preemptive strikes on 11 Indian air bases. The Indian Army under Lieutenant General Jagjit Singh Arora swiftly retaliated with strategic leadership provided by Field Marshal Sam Manekshaw as Chief of Staff. Indian armed forces quickly gained decisive control over the Eastern Front. Meanwhile, on the Western Front, the Navy led by Commander Babru Bhan crippled Karachi port in Operation Trident. The war ended swiftly on December 16th with the surrender of 93,000 Pakistani soldiers, leading to the birth of Bangladesh and a fundamental shift in South Asian geopolitics. The victory of 1971 was not just military, it was moral, strategic, and historic. Pakistan's defeat reshaped South Asia, while India established itself firmly as the region's dominant power. Its credibility and deterrence strengthened forever. On this Vijay Diwas, India salutes its heroes, who fought with unmatched courage, sacrificed everything, and ensured that the tricolour remains victorious in each battlefield. Rahul Upadhyay's report for DD India.
Well, that's all we have in this edition of DD India News Hour, but let's know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those of you on the go, get the latest news and updates from India and across the world on the DD India mobile app. Available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code and download it now. We'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Mark Lynn. From all of us here in Delhi, thank you very much for watching DD India News Hour. Namaskar.